right. Hello, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. This is DFS Army's NBA pre-lock show. I'm Josiah, a.k.a. Bob226. Have my guy TK here. TK, this has been your week, man. You've been here all week with us.
I really have.
Yeah, not mad about it, though. Not mad. I like this slate. There's some spots where you can get different. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, it's looking okay.
Yeah, last night was positive, but not great because I didn't have MPJ and I didn't have Reese. That Reese.
And the thing about him, I still remember that guy asking us, did we like Reese? And we were just saying, like, with Gil in, like, we don't know about the minutes. But if Gil would have been out, we would have loved Reese. So that's something I noticed yesterday with him, with Julian Reese.
And we didn't touch on it on the show, but we did find out that Reese was starting. And that definitely did help make him a better play, too. Mm-hmm. But, hindsight's 2020 was still positive slate. Just wasn't, a tournament winning thing. So onwards and upwards. First game on the slate, we have Dallas going up against the Celtics. Widest spread on the slate by a long shot, 15 points, and a nice total at 225.5. Thomas, good to see you. Cujo. No, Dixon. I've been on the MPJ train all year long, man, and he's helped me take down some tournaments too this year. So I'm an MPJ guy, and only when he's low owned, and he was low owned yesterday. So I blame myself for that, man. I blame myself. But for this Dallas team, Cooper Flag's back. We know he hasn't been playing too much. And, I mean, he's not playing like 30-plus minutes. He's playing 25 minutes. But for his price tag, that's not that great. We did find out that Daniel Gafford is out. Marvin Bagley is out. So that's a boost to some of those bigs like Dwight Powell. But it's a matchup against Boston. I don't like this spot for absolutely any of these guys. But do you see things differently, man?
Yeah, when it came to Dallas, I wasn't getting anything, and then I learned about the news with Gafford out, Bagley out. So Dwight Powell looks a little bit better, okay, for a value. But then I think Musa Sissy might be a nice sneaky GPP play, because if this game blows out, I can see him getting extra run. He has put up solid scores in the past when given the minutes, so I think he may be somebody to look for in GPPs.
Yeah, just a way of getting different. Yeah. Dixon said, wait until the playoffs. Oh, yeah, I'm not touching. I don't think the Nets will even make the playoffs, but if they happen to be there, like, I'm not touching MPJ in a spot like that. When people start taking defense seriously, that's when you avoid these guys on bad teams. But in the regular season, you can play the guys who are going to have high usage rates. All right, Boston side of this game. We've been picking on Dallas all year. Last month of the season, we're not going to stop now. The spread does terrify me, though. And this Boston team's not an easy team to look at right now because Jason Tatum is returning. He's been out all year long. And, now he's back. He's not going to play a ton of minutes, but it does impact usage rates for this team. They're just going to see a dip here. But the matchup is soft. So did anyone stand out for you?
Yeah, when it came to Boston, like, no one really stood out to me. Like, these guys are priced without, Jason Tatum, but he's back. So it's like, I can't really see myself getting to anybody. But at first I looked at Queta, but then I looked at, Ware's right there, and he's arguably the best player on the slate. But I was like, I'm not really on Queta now. So I'm not really getting to anybody on Boston.
Yep. I think that's a really good point. And for subjects like this, I kind of feel like we need to look at the position itself and just kind of see who's standing out. And when you look at the center position on this slate, you see the 5K guys, Oso and Khalil Ware, really popping. They're taking up like close to 80% of the ownership. And so the rest of the centers, just by that nature, are going to be a little bit lower owned. You can tell there's going to be a lot of 2-center builds tonight. But I really like just focusing on some of these low-owned bigs. And a lot of them aren't even in bad matchups. Clegg, you know it, man. We are looking to attack these Dallas bigs. The problem with Boston is they're a little stacked. They're a little too overweight with talent. And so the bigs aren't seeing as many minutes as I would like. But 5,300 for Nehemias Queta is not super expensive. And he has the upside where he can still do well in this spot. So I have a 15% min on Queta today. He'll be a leverage play for me in this spot. The minutes aren't secure, so there's a ton of risk there, but that's why he's low owned and that's why he's a leverage play. that's the only play I could actually have that made sense for me. Jaylen Brown, great spot for him, but paying $10K for him
Right.
is tough. Can he do it? Yeah, but the likelihood of him doing it with Tatum coming back here, and there's other studs I like a bit more. I just can't do it. Yeah, Clegg, I'm close to that, but I didn't fully pull the trigger, but we'll get there. Starting off, we have the Miami Heat going up against the Hornets. My Charlotte Hornets have been killing it, man. Love it. And they have a decent matchup here going up against the Heat who play fast, and then they played yesterday too. Yesterday was weird with this Miami Heat team. We saw Bam Adebayo get into foul trouble, so he only played like 24 some minutes. And then Kel'el Ware that really solidified his minutes floor. And then we've also seen Kel'el Ware have 5 steals in back-to-back games. That's something that just won't happen all the time. And so at first I was with Clegg. I was like, yeah, I want to fade Ware. But then I saw his price tag is only $5,400. This Hornets team, they're a good rebounding team. And so Ware has faced this team earlier this season, and he had like 28 fantasy points. So the Hornets were pretty good at shutting him down. But 5,400, he scores 28 fantasy points tonight. We're not jumping up and down excited about it, but it's fine. And we have him projected for 33 fantasy points. And that's a decent value option on this slate against a team that defensively isn't shutting guys down. They're just good rebounders. So long story short, I'm not expecting 50 fantasy points out of Ware, but he is showing up in 78% of my lineups because he does just make lineups work at his price tag and in that price range. If he should be like in that 65 to 6,800 range, and then we could just kind of see him as he is, and he'll be a really easy fade for me. But at 5,400, I just can't do it. I don't know. How do you feel about that situation with Ware?
Yeah, I think Ware, I mean, being 5,400, I don't mind going a bit overweight on him just from the standpoint of he do have upside. The minutes will be there. Wiggins out, Powell still out, so they know, the coach loves playing Ware and Bam together. So I don't mind going to him or getting over the field on him at all.
Yeah. 5 stacking this game. That's not crazy. I forgot to even mention it. This game has the second. Oh, no, it's tied again. It's tied for having the highest total on the slate. So I'm always looking for reasons to play guys in this game. And that's part of why I'm not really doing anything to fade them too much. The other situation we have to talk about when it comes to value is Myron Gardner. 3K power forward on this slate is going to see all the ownership in the world. And a lot of guys are like, why is he popping? Why is he standing out? He's been dog shit the last few games. And the reason for why he's popping, again, remember, he's a forward. And then you look at Miami, we see Norman Powell out. He's been out for a while now. And then we got the news today that Andrew Wiggins is going to be out. Those are 2 forwards who are now not going to be on the court. And then Fontecchio has been out in and out a little bit here too. And so those 3 forwards all being ruled out limits how many guys they have. So you see guys like Jaime, who's going to stand out. Pelle Larsson, his minutes floor is a bit more stable. For us, we don't have him projected for as many minutes as some of the other guys do in the industry, but I do still think he's a good play. As of right now, I have him locked, which is terrifying because we don't really know what the minutes will look like, but we've seen him have 30-point upside. And at 3K, that's all I really care about is how much upside do you have and what does that floor look like? So I don't know. Are we seeing it wrong, man? Or how are you kind of looking at this?
Yeah, I agree with the Myron Gardner play just from the standpoint of we've seen in the past, like given the minutes he produces, I could see him we could use him to fit studs like Wemby or Jokic. So I don't mind going way over the field on Myron Gardner.
Exactly. That's kind of how I thought about it too. I was just like, does the risk outweigh the reward? And for me, no. There's not really too much risk with a 3K guy. I mean, he could suck and be a 0 in your lineup, but the upside of him just having a 30-point game and allowing me to pay up a little bit on some of these guys who have a higher floor, it's too good for me to pass up. So I locked him. We locked Ware yesterday. That went well. Going to lock Gardner today. Hopefully we have the same success. Who else do you like from this Miami Heat team?
Yeah, I was getting a good amount of Jaime Jaquez. I think he's somebody who's I love when he gets over 30 minutes because he's finding a role on this team. He's producing. He's nice mid-range play. I was getting Drew Smith a little. I see he's about around 11% on. He was somebody else getting as value.
Okay.
I wasn't getting Bam, but I definitely want Bam if he's going to be under 5% owned. Like I don't mind being double the field on him. So I'll make sure to get some Bam out of bio.
Bro, we're seeing it the same way. Bam Adebayo is going to be a leverage play for me tonight. Again, I don't like picking on the Hornets. They're a good rebounding team. Usually it doesn't equate to too much success here. But the Miami Heat are in the back end of a back-to-back. Bam Adebayo only played 24 minutes last night. So I don't think they'll be afraid to give him a ton of minutes here. And he's talented enough if he's going to be aggressive enough, which is always the concern with Bam. He has the talent. We just need him to be aggressive. He should be able to dominate in this spot. So I have a 15% min on him. He'll be a leverage play. I want to be over the field on Bam. And we know the risk that's involved. We're not getting a discount here when there are value centers on this slate. But I like paying up in this spot. And then the rest of these guys show up by themselves. So Jaime Jaquez, he shows up in about 35% of lineups. Good leverage there, about 15% over the field. We talked about Bam already. Drew Smith, like you mentioned, he's showing up in 13% of lineups for me. Fine with that. I'm not overly passionate about Drew Smith in this spot. Just kind of see him as a guy. Pelle Larsson, I only have 3% of. It does make me a little nervous being under the field, but I like some of the other guys on this team more, and so I'm just not I can't put them in on everybody. Davion Mitchell, same story. I think he's a fine play, just like Larson, but can't put him in on everyone. And then I'll rinse, wash, repeat here. Hero's also in a decent spot here, but I still prefer the other spots more. Do you think this could be a hero spot? Am I missing something?
When it comes to hero, I'm somebody who's actually going to wait till he go off. Like he's not had a monster game since he's been back. Like I'm just going to wait till he be more aggressive and actually have that game. So I'm not going to be on him in this game.
I still can't believe that's true, that Michael Beasley's this one-on-one beast, but that's true. Yeah, I think I'm with you. I'm not going to put him in on Tyler Hero. He's kind of just in that prove it territory to me, but with Norman Powell and Andrew Wiggins out, this is a spot where the increase in usage and opportunity is there. Actually, I am going to put a 10% min on him. He hasn't been good, but with those guys out and the usage rates increasing, it does make enough sense to me to force some exposure to him. Okay, I like that. This is a good team. This is a good game to focus on. Kind of like yesterday's slate, we had the first game to focus on. We had some difficult matchups where you kind of want to mix and match. I think this slate's very similar. This Miami Heat Hornets game is really good. Knicks Denver game is good because it's competitive. And then the Suns have a really soft matchup against the Pelicans outside of that, and then Boston against Dallas, but that's complicated because of Tatum. Outside of that, these other games are just kind of like a couple of one or two pieces for me. All right, the Hornets side of this game. We know Miami, they play at a fast pace, but they're still a good defense. That's been the case for most of this season. For Charlotte tonight, they are healthy, which has made things challenging when trying to figure out who you want to play from Charlotte. But still a spot I want some exposure to. How are you kind of viewing Charlotte tonight?
Yeah, with Charlotte, I was getting a good amount of Brandon Miller. I was getting some Miles Bridges. And when it came to Miles Bridges, I was a bit kind of, dubious with him. But I'm seeing his ownership around 13% and Miller's 20%. So it's like these guys aren't too chalky. So it's like whatever I'm getting in the dome station, I'll be okay with it.
Yeah. That's the nice thing about this Hornets team is that they're not seeing a lot of ownership, which, again, is like 99% of the things I care about in DFS. And like you, Brandon Miller pops off pretty naturally. He's showing up in about 37% of my lineups naturally in the Domination Station. Click the link in the description if you're interested in having access to the Domination Station. Use promo code TKMOSS for a 10% discount there. King Tut. I don't know why that was hard for me to figure out. King Tut just said that Jason Tatum won't have a minutes restriction on Friday. What the hell are the Celtics doing? He's the one person who should have a minutes restriction.
Okay. Yeah, I saw it. I think the head coach is just like messing around.
Yeah.
He's been out for like over close to 300 days. Like, come on now.
He better have a minutes restriction. He's just fucking with y'all. That's crazy. Yeah. It doesn't change too much for me. I don't have a min on Brown, do I? That's the only thing that would have. If I had a min on Brown, I would have taken it off. But it's just too messy right now for me over there. But you mentioned So a couple of guys that are showing up naturally are Brandon Miller. No one else shows up by themselves in the DS. I have a 15% min on Con Knipple. We talk about it all the time. He does not project well. He never does, and he never will. But in these faster paced games, I like taking a shot on these low owned Hornets. And so 15% min on Con, 10% min on LaMelo Ball. Same story. We haven't seen a lot of upside from LaMelo here recently. But again, faster paced game, I'm willing to take a shot on that against a team that's going to be exhausted because they played last night. And then Miles Bridges, I just don't put him in on if this team's healthy. But if he showed up by himself, I would have been fine with it. And he does in about 8% of lineup. So I'll have some exposure there. Yeah, it does sound like a Boston thing. Yeah, exactly. Did you not learn your lesson from Isaiah Thomas? Like, oh man, it's so frustrating seeing teams just run guys into the ground. But, it is what it is. Hopefully they really do put a minute limit on him and they're just kidding around. All right, next game. We have the lowest total on the slate, 6-point spread. Portland going up against the Rockets. For Portland tonight, we do have injury news that we have to watch out for per usual with this team. Denny Avdia is doubtful, so we can expect him to not play. Chris Murray's questionable, and if he gets ruled out, that's going to be a boost to guys like Scoot, Krejci, Wesley. A lot of these forwards and wings will just have more stable minutes, and that's kind of how I'm viewing it. I don't think the Chris Murray news will move things for me too much, though, because this Rockets defense is just legit. It's where I'm trying to play guys against them. How are you seeing Portland? Anyone stand out for you?
Yeah, when it comes to Portland, these guys are definitely a bit unattractive to me. I'm not getting, really any of these guys. Yeah, I'm not on these guys.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to try and find a reason to play them. They're not super expensive, and we've seen them have some ceiling performances, especially guys like Drew Holiday and Donovan Clingan. At their low ownership, I just wanted to get a little bit of leverage on them. And so both of them are going to be leverage plays for me tonight, but hopefully it's clear. I don't think these are safe plays. I don't even really think they're good plays. They're just pure ownership plays on guys who have upside. And so I have a 15% min on Drew Holiday for that reason, 15% min on Donovan Clingan for that reason. Just some low-owned guys I want some exposure to. Other side of this game is better from a matchup perspective, but still kind of hard to get to these guys for pricing reasons. But we do have the value, which helps. For Houston, we have Amin Thompson, questionable. I don't know why that was hard for me to say. Amin Thompson. He's questionable. If he gets ruled out, that's a boost to the rest of the guards here. Jabari Smith is questionable. If he gets ruled out, that's a boost to guys like Terry Eason. And then the rest of these guys are healthy. How are you kind of viewing this matchup for Portland or for Houston?
Yeah, Reed Shepherd is somebody I was getting to in the Dome station. His minutes has been exponentially high recently, last couple of games. So I'm not afraid to get him. I would definitely like him a lot more with Amon Thompson out. And that was pretty much it for this Houston team. But I can see guys like Sengun or Durant. Well, mostly Sengun. I like him being around 6%. I wouldn't mind being doubled on him. When it comes to Durant, I kind of thought about him, but I was like, yeah, he's on a back-to-back. I wonder how Durant will do. But for the most part, I'm just seeing Reed Shepherd.
Yeah, and Reed Shepherd's been so good lately.
Yeah.
The three Hornets are capable of all scoring 40 points. I don't disagree. We've seen like them do that. Usually one of them are injured, but in a fast-paced game, I don't think it's crazy. And remember, I am a Hornets fan, so I'm biased. But I don't even think this game stays as close as the spread has it. I don't think Miami keeps it close unless Bam or Hero are going off. So we'll see what happens there. I like the matchup. Portland's not a good defense, but they play at a slow pace, which can equate to guys just not having strong performances unless they're just really efficient. The matchup's soft enough and the ownership's low enough where I'm willing to take a shot on these guys. Sengun, like you said, 5-6% ownership is low. He's going to be a leverage play for me tonight too. Once again, just purely because of the low ownership. The price tag's hefty. That's the concern I have. The matchup's fantastic for him in this spot, but he has to do a lot to pay off his price tag. And he does do a lot for this team. He's a stat stuffer, but it's a risky leverage play. Not my favorite, but just a ownership leverage one. And then Kevin Durant is just a soft matchup play too. He's the main scorer for this team. Doesn't mean that much with just the way he plays because he doesn't do too much outside of scoring. But in a soft matchup, relatively low owned, he's just someone I wanted to force a little bit of exposure to once we got more value. So 15% min there. Clegg's right. Durant has killed Portland. But like the real question is who hasn't killed Portland? Everyone does at some point. But yeah, good spot. It's just tough because of the slow pace. Hard to get overly excited about any one person in particular, but still some nice leverage there. All right, next up we have the Knicks going up against the Nuggets. Tied for the highest total and the closest spread, which automatically makes this game more interesting to me that it should be competitive and a good total. For the Knicks tonight, they have Josh Hart listed as questionable. If he gets ruled out, we should see Landry Shamet start. We've seen that happen a few times in this spot. No one really stood out as kind of like a fantastic play. It was just kind of like a team I knew I wanted exposure to. How do you see it?
Yeah, on my crunches, I was getting a good amount of Bridges, a decent amount of Hart. I wasn't getting Brunson, but I want to force Brunson here in this matchup. I know the Knicks and Denver played earlier this year in a double overtime. Like that was a huge game, and Brunson had a big game. So I definitely want to get over the field on Brunson, and I'm going to force that. And those three guys are really the guys I was getting the most here.
Yeah, a lot of these guys. Oop, give me a second. Yeah, these guys showed up naturally to an extent, but I still had to get a little weird with it to make them show up the way I wanted them to. Mikal Bridges in my first run was showing up in 60-80% of my lineups.
Right, yeah.
And that's ridiculous. Like, yeah. Mikal Bridges, could he do great tonight? Yes, but his recent production hasn't led to us feeling like he's this fantastic play. And because of that, I did have to cap him. I capped him at 30%. Good game environment, so still like him enough to have him show up. I just didn't need him in 60% of my lineups. Obviously, he's much more viable if Josh Hart actually gets ruled out, but with the information we have currently, I don't need him in 60-80% of lineups. But I do like Brunson. I always like Brunson in these close competitive games. He is a bum most of the time, but he's had a pretty good track record against Denver too. It's interesting. I like being over the field on Brunson. I have a 20% min on him, and I'm just kind of calling it a day there. That's enough to be dangerous, but not enough to ruin my slate. Cat has had some success against Jokic before in the past, but his time, if you compare last year to this year, it's night and day. Yeah. Upside just hasn't been there enough for me to force exposure to him. So I'm not doing it. I left it at 0. OG, I put a 10% min on. Not overly excited about him, but just, again, good game environment, like having some exposure. And then as of right now, I have a 20% min on Josh Hart. But again, he's questionable. And so if he gets ruled out, clearly we won't do that. So again, it's just a good game environment, but there's not a specific matchup or spot that just shines for any of these guys, which makes it a little bit tougher. For Denver, they have a brutal matchup against the Knicks. They're a really good defensive team. They have a couple of Q tags that will keep things. These Q tags don't really change too much. Cam Johnson's questionable. Spencer Jones questionable. 2 wings. If one of them gets ruled out, slight boost to guys like Strother, Hardaway Jr., Brown. But these guys are low usage guys. The only people who do anything for this team is like Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray. The rest of these guys are just shooters who can get hot or just really good defensive players like Aaron Gordon, who's still not seeing too many minutes. How are you looking at this Denver team?
Yeah, with Denver, I mean, obviously Jokic is somebody I'm always going to want. When it comes to Murray, I wasn't really getting him, but I want to get double the field because I think he's a nice GPP play. I don't really, it doesn't really matter to me that this is a back-to-back game because Murray in the past, in back-to-back games, he's shown he has upside. So those guys I want here for sure.
Agreed. I also have a 15% min on Jamal Murray. Fantastic spot for him. Like you said, I just like. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. Not a fantastic spot for him. That's not true. The matchup is tough. The matchup is very difficult for him. But similar to Brunson, he's been in in these close competitive games, he can still exceed the price tag he currently has. And so I'm willing to get double the field on someone who's low owned, who has upside in a good game environment because it's close. So I made him a leverage play. I put a 15% min on him. We know what Nikola Jokic can do, but it's kind of hard to get there on this slate. It is because they played yesterday, right? Like, why is no one playing Jokic tonight?
Yeah, man, it probably has to do, with 12,500. I can see people being on Wemby. People might, because they're both centers. So I guess people are just trying to not, make their lineup seem less expendable, because each is not overpriced, but I don't know. I think a lot of people are trying to create balanced lineup.
Yeah. For where I'm at is typically the only time I really care about back-to-backs are with bigs. And both Wemby and Jokic played a ton of minutes last night. And so I'm not playing them tonight. That's pretty much my answer. If this game goes to overtime or the Spurs game goes into overtime, yeah, they'll hit the nuts. But unless they're uber efficient on a back-to-back, I don't think they'll see as high of minutes as a lot of people are expecting tonight. So I'm playing it safe there. But again, this game environment is good enough where I do understand the argument to still getting a little bit of Jokic. Yeah, ownership doesn't help either. Dixon, are you me? Like Jalen, I don't want to call him Bumson because he's helped me in DFS. But in parlays, he ruins every single one. No matter what his points, rebound, or assist totals are at, I've never hit anything with Jalen Brunson, besides in the playoffs last year. He's a little bit more consistent there. But regular season, hell no. I feel you, man. Exposure to Bridges, I'm assuming you're talking about Mikal Bridges. With that 30% cap, he does show up in exactly 30% of lineups, which I like. Still a little bit of leverage over the field, but again, not 60%. Yeah, I hate him too. Yeah, exactly. There's just a lot of really good other center plays on the slate too, which helps. All right, next up, we have the Pelicans going up against the Suns. For the Pelicans tonight, Phoenix is a really good defensive team, so not usually my favorite team to attack. But Pelicans usually have someone injured that keeps things interesting. But that's not the case today. This team is pretty healthy. They have guys who have been coming back, which has just kind of made the rotations a little weird and wider. How are you attacking the Pelicans if you are at all?
Yeah, with this Pelicans team they're healthy now. Everybody seems to be on one accord again. So it's like I was getting some DeJounte Murray, but other than that, I wasn't getting anybody.
It's really just DeJounte Murray for me too. It's so weird that this hasn't been like a DeJounte Murray season because he's been good throughout this season. It's just he's always hurt. He always gets hurt.
Injuries, yeah.
And so he just hasn't been playing too often this season. But when he does play, he's been good. And so he's someone that shows up naturally for me in the DS in about 67% of lineups. Holy shit, that's high. I think I'm going to be okay with it because I do like DeJounte Murray. And the point guards on this slate are not my favorite. Like, there's not one point guard I just love on this slate. And so I'm okay with riding with it. If there was more like opportunity costs I thought I was losing out on, then I would switch it up. But I don't think I need to. Brown, Demetrius, I don't think I'm getting any Christian Brown exposure. I think Christian Brown could become a bit more interesting if some of those guys from Denver end up getting ruled out tonight, like Spencer Jones or like a Cam Johnson. If one or both get ruled out, Brown sees a slight boost, but if everyone's healthy, I don't plan on playing Brown at all. And then same situation like you mentioned, really just Murray here for the Pelicans and called it a day. For Phoenix, they have the soft matchup. Mark Williams is out, and so typically we've seen Oso Ighodaro start in that spot. That's why he's one of the chalky centers on this slate. And then Royce O'Neal is questionable. If Royce gets ruled out, that's 27 to 30 minutes that will go to some of the other wings on this team. And this team has plenty of wings. And so just a slight boost to them solidifying their minutes, but doesn't impact usage too much. Who do you like from Phoenix?
Yeah, with Phoenix, I'm loving on Oso because, like you said, with Mark Williams out, he should see 30 plus minutes. Jalen Green, I was getting him. I don't know how I feel about that. And then I was getting some Booker, but I want to be under him because this Suns team, like when they're all healthy, they don't need Booker to shoot the ball 25 times and to have a monster usage rate because they're winning games like playing good team basketball. So it's hard for him to get that upside. So for me, really, I'm just on Oso and a good amount of Jalen Green, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I didn't do anything or too many things in the DS for this team. Oso shows up naturally in about 47% of lineups. I think that's enough, hopefully. I think this is a decent spot for him. Oso isn't someone I get too high or low on. He's always just fine to me. In the matchup against the Pelicans, though, he looks great. So I'm not going to overthink that one too much. I have a 15% min on Devin Booker, and it does annoy the hell out of me because Devin Booker has had no upside, no sign of upside. You look for 60 fantasy points from Devin Booker, he hasn't touched it really at all this season, which is rare. Like, historically, he's had 60, 70-point upside.
Right.
So it doesn't really make sense. Even in soft matchups, he's been disappointing. But here I am. I haven't played him too much this season, thankfully, but I have 31% of him tonight, and we're all just hoping he actually does something. Who knows? But I'll take the risk because it makes sense. And then Jalen Green shows up in 11% of lineups. I'm pretty lukewarm on Jalen Green. I don't hate him as a play. I don't think he's the best play on the slate. He's in a soft matchup and he's 6,600. He's a guy that makes sense. He is in a good spot, but not, the greatest spot ever. So I'm okay with 11%. I'll be a little bit under the field there. I wonder who's showing up a little bit more than him. I think me forcing exposure to guys like Con Knipple and some of the other shooting guards and shooting forwards that aren't super chalky is also kind of impacting me being a little under the field there too. Anything else you want to add on this team?
That's it for Phoenix for me.
Let's see. Phil said locking Tatum on FanDuel at 5,500. That's tempting. That is tempting. This is why I kind of miss playing on FanDuel. You can do weird shit like that when they price guys terribly. Let's see. 5,500. You really only need like 30 fantasy points for him to pay off. 35. It's still tough. It's not the most likely thing. I wonder if he's low owned over there too. I don't know. I think 5,500. I would be down to do that. What do you think? Would you?
Gosh, it depends on those minutes. Because what if he comes in and just play about 12, 13 minutes, 15 minutes?
Like, 5 minutes, like Dixon's saying?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it could get gross. Gardner gets the start? Did he really? He did. This has been 2 days. No, not 2 slates in a row.
Gardner, yeah, he's starting.
But I think on Wednesday, I locked someone who ended up starting. And if we didn't get that news as early as we did, would have had awesome leverage there. Gardner was going to be super chalk on this slate no matter what. I just feel better about locking him now. Ooh, Clegg likes a little bit of flag. Interesting. All right. Back to the Suns. Was there one more thing you tried to mention about them? Did I interrupt you on this?
Oh, no. I was finished with the Suns.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Clegg, Grayson Allen, Colin Gillespie, 2 guys who don't project well. They're kind of like Con Knipple, but they're a little bit more expensive. They have upside, and in a soft matchup, it wouldn't really shock me if either one of these guys can get there. I just didn't have a strong lean one way or the other, and so I didn't take a shot. But you do, and so I don't think it's a bad spot at all. Tatum currently 9% owned on FanDuel. See, I don't think you have to lock it, Phil. I don't know how many lineups you're playing. Personally, I'll do like a 50% min on him, be super over the field, maybe even 60. But I don't know about locking. It's a little bit too risky. But hey, take down some shit for us, man. I'd love to see that. All right, next up we have the Clippers going up against the Spurs. For the Clippers tonight, team that's competing still. Tough matchup, but the Spurs played last night, so can expect a little bit softer defense than you might typically. Darius Garland is out. He's been out. That doesn't really change anything. John Collins is out. So we should see Kobe Sanders start once again, bump to some of the bigs, but not a great spot for the bigs. There's only one guy I like here, but there's a couple of guys who are getting ownership. How are you seeing the Clippers?
Yeah, when it came to the Clippers, Kawhi was really the only guy for me that was really standing out. Uh, he has obviously he's the alpha on this team. He's the usage goes to him. So I love Kawhi here, but other than that, I'm not really getting to anybody else. Maybe some Isaiah Jackson, but other than that, that's about it.
Yeah. Oh, okay, good. He looked good at shooting around. Awesome. I've learned from Geek Balls on the Table. Man, my bread and butter, like some of my best wins have been playing some of these guys who are coming back and are just way too cheap for the new price tag they have. DK doesn't really do it anymore, but I agree. Learned from Geek Balls on the Table. I get it, man. Balls to the wall, go big or go home. I don't hate it. The way I'm kind of seeing this Clippers team is Kawhi is one of the studs I want to focus on this slate. I have a 30% min on him, 10% leverage over the field. I like the spot. I like the matchup too. It's a little weird, but the Spurs are good defensively. But like I said, on the back end of a back-to-back, they usually play a little bit softer defense. And so I'm kind of betting on that. And this total being a 7-point spread means this game should stay close. And so I like his upside more than some of the other studs on this slate. Bennedict Mathurin's getting a lot of ownership. Don't love that play. He didn't pop for me. So I'm kind of curious to see what's going on there. Maybe we're missing something. Same thing with Derrick Jones Jr. I just think there's better value on this slate than him. The minutes are there, but I just think there's better points per minute and minute floor combinations. And then Isaiah Jackson's tricky. I do think we have value, and so we're not really desperate for it. He wasn't showing up naturally for me. I put a 15% min on him. If he's going to be a chalky big, I just didn't want to completely fade someone like that, even if I don't personally love the spot. So 15% min will be a little bit under the field, but enough to be dangerous. And then last team on the slate, the Spurs. San Antonio, we have Julian Champagnie listed as questionable. You know, if he gets ruled out, boost in minutes to some of the other forwards on this team. But this team has a pretty deep rotation, so I think the main beneficiaries would be guys like Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell. Let's see a slight boost. Not my favorite matchup against the Clippers. Relatively, literally, like just league average across the board. Do you like anyone from this Spurs team tonight?
Yeah, when it came to the Spurs, I was getting a good amount of Castle. I was getting some Fox. Harper was somebody who was showing up a bit. And with Wemby, I wasn't getting Wemby, but I'm always going to force Wemby because he has 70 plus upside with all those blocks and steals upside. So I will definitely force the Dome to get him. And other than that, that was all.
Yeah, I wish Victor Wembanyama was a little bit higher owned because I don't like the spot for him at all. He played 38 minutes last night. That's something he literally hasn't done at all this year. I'm talking literally since January. He did it a couple of times before in like the start of the season. But since January, we haven't seen that at all. I do think we see my light keeps going out. I don't even know why. I do think we only see like 24 to 28 minutes tonight from Victor. I don't think he'll cross that 30-point threshold tonight. And so he's just not going to be someone that I want to have in lineups. But similar to Jokic, we know he has 70-point upside. If this game goes into overtime, if they don't care about his minutes, then sure, like he can definitely still get there. I don't understand why he played so much last night. The game did get a little close towards the end, but it was a blowout for most of it. So I don't know. It's not someone I like, but I understand the upside argument. Castle is always going to be a guy I'm on. Thankfully, the DS likes him too. He's showing up in 47% of my lineups. He's just been good. So I'm just going to keep playing him. De'Aaron Fox, I have a 15% min on. He was pretty good last night for us. Hope he can come through for us once again. Not my favorite play, but I just like having exposure to this game. Last game on the slate. Clippers aren't a defense I'm afraid of. So I just want to kind of mix and max some exposure. But I do think there's better guards on the slate than Fox. Champagnie shows up by himself, or at least he did. He's in now only 3% of lineups. What are your thoughts on Champagnie?
With Champagnie, I would like he's somebody like I would fade just from the standpoint. I don't want to wait all night for my lineup to depend on him. So he's somebody that I'm not going to be playing, and And if he's out, then obviously those other guys will benefit, like Keldon Johnson, and I wouldn't mind getting a good amount. Well, some Keldon Johnson because he's still cheap, relatively cheap. So, yeah, that's how I feel about Champagne.
I get it. Jackson will be great. Lopez foul trouble early. Watch. That's far from the craziest thing. Against Wemby would not shock me. Man, Dylan Harper's your guy, Clegg, every time. And you've been hitting on it too, so I'm not mad at it. Champagne's only showing up in about 3% of lineups for me. I'm not going to force him. The reason why he's not showing up more is because I have a lot of Brandon Miller, a good amount of Jaime, Mikal Bridges, and Kawhi. And he's not really showing up in the forward slot option for me because I locked Gardner. So just naturally, I'm going to be a little bit under the field on some of these small forwards. So won't have as much there. Dylan Harper does show up by himself in about 16% of lineup. So close to field weight, close enough. So I'm not going to force that, like where he's showing up. And then Keldon Johnson's only showing up in 3% of lineups. But I think you're right. If Champagne gets ruled out, he's definitely a much more viable play. And that's about it, y'all. That's the slate. One thing I didn't touch on is this Sadiq Bey ownership is a little weird to me. 12% in a tough matchup and now healthy. Don't love that. But I don't know. Just a random thing I saw and I was like, that's kind of weird. But yeah, y'all, I like the slate. All things being considered. I think it's a good one. I think we have some easy leverage spots, but then kind of the chalk seems pretty solid too. So not upset about it. Anything you want to add before we wrap up?
No.
All right. Y'all, that is the show. We will be back on Monday. And, wish you all nothing but the best of luck. Hopefully it's a LaMelo game. Hopefully it's a Hornets game. Hope you all have a good weekend. UNC Duke tomorrow. Hopefully UNC locks them down. But peace out, y'all. Have a good one. Bye. TK, I'm sorry. I know I go on